Hello, welcome to another little update on the news that happened in the last weekend and also the first couple of days of this week. This is where every week I just go through a series of headlines, give you my own thoughts on them, so you can go about your week being able to counter the FUD that comes out in the retail environment and on the news, and hopefully that will lead you to make better decisions moving forward. So this first one is from Cointelegraph, and this is all about Visa's crypto strategy that targets stablecoin settlements. Now you think, oh wow, stablecoins? Visa? This is quite big news, but then you start reading about it and you start realizing that how much of a mess this is. I want to set you a task here. If you're in the live premiere, put it in the live chat. If you're watching after the live premiere, put it in the comments as we go here. I'm going to read a few sentences here. We've been testing how to actually accept settlement payments from issuers in USDC, starting on Ethereum and paying out in USDC. On Ethereum. Right? So we're talking about settlement of payments using Ethereum. Okay? How is that going to work? Okay, so I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to draw this on for too long. When we looked at that ISO diagram and all the connections and everywhere, we had Ethereum and Consensus right next to each other. Hopefully this will actually just be displayed on the screen so you can actually see it. We had Consensus and Ethereum next to each other, and the Ethereum one went through via a fork into XDC, because XDC is essentially a fork of Ethereum, but this runs into another issue. XDC won't be able to settle payments cross-border, as we have seen in this article. The same way that we want to convert between dollars in euros on a cross-border transaction, we should be able to convert between digital tokenized dollars and traditional dollars. And so what we have to do here is think about where funds are settled. This is a common thing about when I answer questions. One of the first line of questioning that I give back in those situations is, how are they settling funds? Can Ethereum settle funds efficiently and cheaply? Answers in the chat. The answer is no. If you're trying to send $1 billion on Ethereum, you're going to pay multi-millions in fees. That's not going to be something we're going to use for actual settlement of funds. Can we go then through the fork, because of its interoperability with XDC, through the Ethereum virtual machine? Can we now settle funds on XDC? Well, yes, we can settle funds on XDC, but can we settle millions and billions on XDC? Probably not. Where are we going to source the liquidity from in that instance? Which blockchain is rooted in liquidity? It comes back to XRP yet again. Via this interoperability that we have in this whole system, it's going to be huge. It's all going to work together. The narrative is pushed by JP Morgan. It's just going to be saying that we're basically using Ethereum. Like we said, we're going to use Bitcoin and Ethereum to settle these funds and transform the whole financial system. But in the background, we know where it's actually running through on the background. Much like people don't know how banks work today and how the money moves, people won't in many years as well. But we will understand how things are working in the background. So when you see things about XDC and stablecoin and Visa, just understand that you can't do anything relating to payments at a large scale if it's not able to settle natively on the blockchain. If liquidity has to be sourced from somewhere else, you know where it has to be sourced from. It can only be XRP and XLM. And if we're talking about cross-border as a priority, then you know it's XRP. So that's just, when I read these news articles, this is what I think. I just think automatically, how are these things settled? And that's what it shows me. So let's get into the digital bank. Revolut is now to offer crypto staking. The one thing I want to talk about here is that whenever we've talked about staking in the traditional sense in the past, it has always been in an unregulated and uninsured environment. Now, we've seen how that's gone, right? We know how that went. That's not a sustainable model. I can't speak to what Revolut is doing here, but whenever you're considering staking, okay, please consider whether the entity that you're staking with is regulated and insured or not. If it's not a regulated and insured environment and they're offering you like 25, 26, 27, 41% on stable coins, for example, there should be red flags everywhere. We've seen how that works out. It doesn't work out well, and so the red flags need to exist there. When we're talking about Revolut, It is actually a bank, so it's probably regulated and insured. And so this does create an interesting question. I also see on the headline here that it's as high as 11.65% yield, which in the scheme of things, basically from what we've seen in DeFi, isn't a crazy amount. So that's not bad. That's not bad if it is a regulated and insured environment. So just make sure to check that off whenever you're seeing anything about staking. Next, we've got the Bank of International Settlements report about CBDCs and crypto assets that could emerge from turmoil. This is just playing into the idea that there's a narrative going into the world right now that we're about to crash. And ultimately, the narrative is going to flip on its head. And all the governments are going to say, we have rescued the day. We're going to bring out a CBDC and digital assets. We thought they were a scam the whole time, but now we think they're actually the savior and we're going to lead you all to salvation. That's essentially what's going to happen. This is just confirming that, the Bank of International Settlements, they've known this for a while, could emerge from turmoil. I think we're in the turmoil right now. So most people don't know it, but we are. The banks are running out of money. And this is basically stating the obvious. So if you saw this one, this is exciting news for us as digital asset holders, potentially, hypothetically. And I've got some thoughts about these whole exchanges and banks shutting down, allowing or not allowing people to spend money on cryptocurrency as time goes on. And this is just Binance restricting US dollar bank transfers this week. And it just doesn't come as a surprise to me anymore. I don't think I look at any of these anymore as kind of like, oh, the bank shut down, it means something's going to happen. They're laying the groundwork. There's so much that goes into this new system that we're waiting for. So we never know which update is going to be the update. So I would just say, to protect yourself emotionally from getting too excited, something could happen, sure. Anything can happen in this world, right? But we cannot put all of our eggs in one single basket because it just makes our hands less diamond-like, more paper-like. And I don't think that's productive for the mentality of holding these assets. And then Binance is in the news again about Binance tax. And just a few notes on tax. Binance tax might well be fine, right? But remember that Binance will be uniquely involved with your government, and everything that flows through Binance will be absolutely done in such a way to where the government agencies or whoever handle your tax get the maximum amount out of you. When there may be, and I'm not a tax advisor or anything like that, and I'm not saying you should avoid tax, I'm saying there may be other ways to be more tax efficient. Yes, those may require you to make pretty bold steps in your life, to say potentially like moving country so that you can set up your business or asset holding company in another country. These are all massive steps you'd have to take to be more tax efficient, but just understand when it's Binance involved, the government will be involved to such a degree where it's going to be very square. And again, I'm not advocating for avoiding tax, absolutely not. You need to pay the taxes where you live. But remember, you can live anywhere you want, right? So I'm sure that's going to be a big thing for all the people who don't think outside the box, but I like to think that everyone in this community does, in fact, think outside the box, and there may be other options available. And then finally, we've got this last thing about the On The Gov website. That's the UK's government website. I hate this website. But it basically said the UK sets out plans to regulate crypto and protect customers. We know that this is the narrative that's going out. I made a video yesterday about this whole bill that's going through the government right now, and we're essentially waiting for it to get onto the King's desk so he can sign it off. How long that takes, we go into that video yesterday, so make sure you click the I in the top right to go and watch that video, specifically about this piece of news. But I want to add something to this headline just to lay it out there for you. What it should read is the UK sets out plans to regulate crypto, allow the banks to earn their money, and then protect customers. Because that is the natural flow of things. They want to make their money first before the protection of customers comes out. And the protection of customers is solely focused on a retail CBDC, right? And we know the retail CBDC could be a little bit away from actually impacting our lives. So there is actually more to this There is the regulation of crypto and there is the protection of customers on that side, but in between, somebody's got to make their money and it's not going to be the retail customers first, is it? With all that said, I get more and more bullish every day on XRP, XLM, and XDC all the time. And where I buy those assets so I can move them to my cold storage wallet is on Uphold. The link to buy on Uphold is in the description. They have proven that they are stable in the good times and the bad times, so that's why it is my exchange of choice. But in these types of purchases for crypto, I move directly to cold storage wallet, and I do all of that from Uphold. Stay emotionless out there, and I'll see you in the next one.